Brings us up to kind of our next question. So, and Chris, maybe take the lead on this one. What's really changed in our industry that makes systems development more critical, than ever for contractors? I know, 15 years ago it was really heavily, and you mentioned it was heavily about the ERP system, but it just seems like today there's an explosion in technology. I consider myself fairly well versed, and I can't even keep up just with the company names, literally.
Right. Well, I mean, there's been a proliferation of technology introduced that is more mobilely based, right? And so those would be your app infrastructure that's out there. I think just about every day there's a new construction app that's coming out for mobile technology. So that's changed with the changeover in terms of the individuals that are also in the field, right? There are people that are entering field supervision now that they grew up on mobile technology. And so their willingness and desire to have things in the palm of their hand in terms of information to help them be more effective and more efficient has definitely a change, and that's just sweeping the industry. Why, for me, that makes systems development even more critical is they want the information in their hand, but if you've got a bunch of loosely connected apps that don't talk to each other, that integration portion is very important. And like we said, in the prior discussion, systems integration is a systems development process to be able to make everything talk together so that you've got the right information at the right time for your field associates and for the people that are trying to manage back in the office. And so that ability to make the things you want to use talk together in a cohesive way is, I think, more important than ever before, and picking the right technology as well.
Steve, anything to add to that?
Yeah, the only thing I'd have to add is one of the things that's drastically changed is connectivity. Not only have there been mobile devices now in the palm of everybody's hand for 8 years, 10 years, whatever the date's been, but also in the last 10 years, the ability to connect to the internet on most job sites has gone up, a lot. Back in 2006, when we were working, 2002, 2006, working on getting connectivity out to job sites, it was really difficult ordering, at the time we were ordering T1s to job sites that may not have had an address. Now you pop in your 4G wireless card and provide data to the whole job site in 15 minutes. So that has really, really enabled a lot of the any of the mobile technology to operate, which is so awesome. So that is one of the big changes that I've seen. On top of, you're right, even most of the field employees, not just field supervision, but field employees, they use the mobile technology devices at home. And so they're totally well trained on the technology before they even get deployed. They know how to use it. And sometimes they're even the ones that bring the apps into the organization. So
I think the other thing that we've, once I had a hard time getting my head around it is Moore's law, simply says that the computing power will essentially double in power every 18 months for the same level of cost, and give or take. And that's held for a long time. And you can read articles now, but people have been calling into Moore's law for a while. But if you look at it, and that comes down to how many transistors you can put on a chip, they'll break through that barrier at some point in time. They'll move past transistors. But there's also a lot of other. It's really about technology innovation and how fast it moves. And if you look back throughout history, it's always followed kind of a doubling type curve. Well, so and there's a tipping point in that, right? So when you think about something, where technology was at, think about it like where a digital camera was at just, a few years ago. I mean, it really wasn't that long ago that we were still using Polaroids on a regular basis on job sites. And the first digital cameras were pretty fuzzy, cost a lot, could store very little. And then it's gotten better and better and better. And now, pretty much a phone for the last 5 years can take, perfect video that you can read panel schedules off of, or nameplates off of. Well, so now, and that's relatively straightforward technology. I mean, it's complicated, relatively straightforward. Think about it on the other side. When you have operatorless equipment, driverless vehicles, when you have engineering systems that can go basically self-route utilities and figure out the best path, those technologies are also, working on an approximate doubling in capabilities every couple of years. So that's like saying that today I can run a 16-minute mile, not a big deal. That's like a fast walking pace. And 2 years from now, I can run an 8-minute mile. Okay, that's cool. That's getting pretty darn competitive. 2 years after that, you're running world record times. That's the pace that technology is accelerating at. And right now, it can drive, it can move around pretty nicely, about on par with human drivers in simple situations. What happens 5 years from now, 10 years from now? So that's the other thing that's really, really changing, and it's going to take a lot to stay on top of it.